You can listen to the Canadian Gothic early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird.
Handsome Aaron Airport. We're back for our 183rd round of Keeping Canada Weird by seeking out and exploring all the unique and offbeat news stories from the past week. But before we get into them, let me ask you, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm very well. Thanks for asking. I'm glad you asked. You always ask, but I'm always nervous if you're going to ask, and you did ask. So I will answer, I am well.
We're off to a great start. I asked, you delivered, you're well. I have a special drink in my hand. I've been loving these lately, the candy cans. They're probably going to be my special drink for the next little while. The reason for that being I bought a huge case of them. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, we start every episode with a special drink that makes the night a little more special. Mine is flavored like one of those ice pop, I call them, where it's like red, white, and blue frozen popsicle. It tastes like that.
Right, okay. Yeah, we'll crack it open, have a sip.
Still delicious. I love these things. What do you got over there?
I have a special drink. I have a Cove soda.
Okay.
But this is a flavor I haven't tried yet. This is grapefruit.
Interesting thing about Cove soda, and even listeners in the United States may recognize this brand, despite it being brewed right here where I am in Halifax, Nova Scotia. They sell it all across Canada, and they have some kind of partnership with Target where you can buy Cove in the States. When I was in the U.S., I was surprised to see a huge selection of my local soda. I really enjoy Cove. Have a drink, Aaron. Let me know how it is.
Yeah, I'm going to crack it open here. It's quite light and refreshing, actually.
Okay, that's nice.
It's nice.
Before we get into the stories, let's jump right into a voicemail. You remember we ended the show last week with a bit of a plug for our bonus episode, specifically Stairs. And we heard a voicemail where a listener recommended a movie about tires called Rubber. And we suggested, why don't you watch it and tell us if it's any good?
I assume you have some kind of an update about this.
Yeah, the listener didn't get back to us. But Kate from the UK did watch the movie Rubber and had a little bit to say about it.
Hello, this is Kate, your London correspondent, an average Aaron Earhart agitator, now turned movie film reviewer for you. So I watched the movie Rubber around 10 years ago now, and from what I can remember, it was surreal and ridiculous with a very meta energy. I'll admit it's not for most people, and I wouldn't recommend it unless you liked horror, much how I imagine people talk about Aaron's plays. I just want it on the record that I wouldn't let that man ban me with a 10-foot pole. A girl's got to have some standards. Bye.
A lot to say about that one. For one, handsome Aaron Earhart. I kind of like that.
Didn't she call me average Aaron Earhart or something like that?
Average Aaron Earhart. Yeah, I got kind of just thrown off by the Earhart thing. Like, in the U.S., they're about to release the Earhart files. I wonder if that's what's on her mind.
Yeah, or she wants to see me die in a plane crash.
Oh, allegedly. Mysteriously disappear in a plane crash. She suggested that your plays are a lot like a horror show. Anything to say about that?
Well, I'd like some evidence that she's seen my work before, but, you'd probably think that I would jump to ban this listener from voicemails because of the disturbing content she had about me in her voicemail, but I'm not going to do that because I'm only banning people that want to be banned. And this is an agitator and not somebody who's necessarily into banning, but somebody who's looking for conflict with me. And I'm not going to bite into that, and I'm not going to ban them.
Be the bigger man. As Kate reflected on something we discussed last week, I also have a quick story I want to get into here that ties into something we've talked about, I believe maybe 3 or 4 episodes ago. We heard about the man in Hamilton, Ontario, who was fighting to keep his security cameras around his home. If you recall, the city wanted them down, and he felt they should stay up, and he had evidence to support the value of having these cameras because he used footage from the cameras to help solve many crimes, including helping catch a serial killer. So we talked about that story. There's still no settlement on whether or not this guy's cameras are going to stay up. But I want to move over to Manitoba for a different story that was in the news this week that is almost like the exact opposite of that. In Altona, Manitoba, police are launching a safe neighborhood camera registry, a voluntary list of homes and businesses with security cameras. Listen to their take on the security camera problem.
Gord Sawatsky is sprucing up the Trans-Canada Trail just south of Altona, so he's not home right now. But his doorbell camera and another camera on his backyard shed are keeping an eye on things just in case.
It's peace of mind just to know that I can look at my house at any time from my phone.
And now Sawatsky is letting the Altona Police Service in on it.
If there's a situation that happens on my street, that possibly my camera might be of value to them.
Altona Police say they're joining other Manitoba police forces in launching the Safe Neighborhood Camera Registry. It's a free and voluntary program that lets police know who has doorbell and other security cameras. They're encouraging homeowners and businesses to sign up.
This is just another avenue where we can reach out and ask for assistance.
Chief Dan DeFer says if a crime happens, police can see if anyone in the vicinity has a camera and ask them for any relevant footage, which could help investigators with the case. It also saves officers from door knocking, which can take time, as they would already have addresses, phone numbers, and emails of the camera owners who they can then contact and ask,
could you check your system, on Tuesday between 10 and 6, this happened. Can you see if there's anything on your cameras?
And while some may have privacy concerns about the program, the chief says police have no access to the security systems and handing over footage is voluntary.
This does not give us in any way any access to the people's cameras. We're not monitoring any camera systems.
Gord Sawatsky has already registered his cameras.
I don't see why anyone wouldn't do this.
So as you hear, small town Manitoba is handling it in a completely different way than Hamilton was. I just want to say, I know this is probably controversial, but I support this. I think this is a good idea. It seems like a modern take on the Neighborhood Watch kind of program, I suppose. I'm sure you remember Neighborhood Watch from 1980s Canada. This seems like the modern take on that.
Neighborhood Watch is still around.
Yeah, but I think they've lost a lot of power.
Did they ever have power, though? Were they a powerful organization, or they just were more present in the neighborhoods decades ago?
I think both. And I'll tell you, they were in fact more present. My house, when I grew up, my dad was on the Neighborhood Watch, and he took that job seriously. He had like the little sign in our window facing the road.
Yeah. We had it too. There was a sticker in our window. We were a part of the Neighborhood Watch. And I hadn't seen any Neighborhood Watch stickers or signs in years and years until very recently. The neighborhood where my office is, where I work, there's now Neighborhood Watch signs, big giant ones on poles up all over the place.
Really? Okay. Well, I like it. But anyway,
so I
aside
think they're
from
making a comeback. But
well, good. I hope they do
we'll
make
see.
a comeback because society needs something like a Neighborhood Watch. But what they're doing in Manitoba here, it's basically a voluntary registry where you can register your cameras and your address and I guess your phone number as well on some kind of database. So if the police need information, rather than having to send people out and looking for cameras and knocking on doors, they can, I guess, consult with this registry and see where the cameras are. I guess now that I say that, the amount of time and manpower it would take to like maintain and develop this registry is probably about equal to the amount of time it would take to knock on all those doors though. So maybe it's all going to work out in the wash in the end. But I noticed something interesting that popped up as I was reading about this story that made me think that this is just the first step in something a little bit bigger, because just today, as we're recording this, the province of Manitoba just announced a renewed rebate for homeowners. In Manitoba, you can spend up to $300 on home security systems like security cameras and video doorbells, and get up to a $300 rebate from the government. And I don't know if other provinces have that. So is this maybe Manitoba taking the first steps in some sort of like large scale voluntary civilian surveillance network? And is that okay?
It's going to get complicated for sure because, and I think that maybe there was complications with the old school Neighborhood Watch system where it was just your eyes looking at your other neighbors. What are they doing? What are they up to? Is it anything illegal? Should I report my neighbors? and where governments get us to turn on ourselves, and that's how they control us. That's something that does concern me, especially in the long run for a program like this and for the general direction that the technology is heading in, where we've got cameras in our phones that are on us, on our person 24/7. We've got cameras on our doorsteps, on our houses, on our cars.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. So it's like there is going to be a point in time where you're not going to be able to move anywhere in society without being filmed by somebody. But with this program, I think there's validity to it. I think as long as it stays voluntary, as long as the police don't have access to the cameras, you know, all of that stuff, I think as long as it stays pure, that can be beneficial.
Okay. It seems like what this program, at least at this point, is designed for is to prevent the cops from having to, when they're investigating a crime, having to look at the homes and be like, okay, I think they have a doorbell. It's a video doorbell. Let's go knock on their door and see if we can get their footage. Like, it's just to save that time, which I think is kind of like takes on a little bit of the essence of the Neighborhood Watch program. I support this if it sticks to the essence and the fundamentals of the Neighborhood Watch program, and not George Orwell's 1984.
Yeah, but every single kind of initiative that starts off has good intentions until people find out how to manipulate it and use it for their own personal gain.
That's the problem.
And then eventually it snowballs and gets out of control.
Which is an amazing transition into our first collection of stories. Tonight, for whatever reason, when I went through unique and offbeat and weird Canadian news, what I came up with was scam after scam after scam story. Many of them involve social media, and many of them really shine a spotlight at the rapid descent of society into societal breakdown. Let's take our first break. When we get back, we're going to hear two stories about scams playing out in Canada right now that involved warnings to the public. So we'll have two stories in which unexpected companies are warning the public of scams. These ones, I don't know if they'll break your heart or if they'll make you lose all faith in humanity. We'll get to them right after this break. Handsome Air and Airport. Before the break, I told you we have two stories related to unlikely institutions going public to warn about scams affecting the vulnerable. Do you want to start with an airport in a small town or the Girl Guides?
Now let's start Girl Guides.
Okay, this is a bad one. The Girl Guides of British Columbia have issued a warning letting people know that scammers are posing as girl guides online and tricking people into sending e-transfers for boxes of the group's famous cookies. Cookies that never arrive. Here's the story.
Online scammers are using Girl Guide cookies to make money. Posts from Facebook community groups in BC and Ontario show people claiming their children are selling the cookies.
They don't seem to have access to any cookies. They're not associated with their organization.
They ask for e-transfers up front, but don't deliver the tasty treats.
We are obviously concerned about seeing examples like this out there in the wild, but we hope that they don't discourage any of our supporters from supporting a really essential program for kids and youth and adults.
Cookies are the Girl Guides of Canada's main fundraising tool, helping raise money for programs, activities, and camp fees.
Scammers online today will do anything for a dishonest dollar.
Cybersecurity experts say there are ways you can protect yourself.
First, pay after delivery. So make arrangements, get the cookies dropped off by the parents, and then once you physically have the goods, do the payment then and there.
But if you do fall for these kinds of scams, experts say don't be ashamed and report it to help others.
Is nothing sacred, not even Girl Guides or Girl Guide cookies. Ultimately, what's happening here is scammers are going online, on Facebook specifically, posing as people who are trying to help their kids sell their Girl Guide cookies. So they'll pop up in a local community group, like, your small town buy and sell kind of thing, and be like, oh, my daughter's trying to sell these Girl Guide cookies. If anyone could help or wants them, direct message me. And, ultimately what they do is get you to e-transfer them money to buy cookies with a promise that we'll deliver the cookies tomorrow. But you guessed it, the cookies never arrive. what surprises me about this scam is a few things. For one, it seems like a lot of the online scams come from like overseas or like from far away. I'm surprised that they would target something as specific as the Girl Guides. And I also am surprised that they would target like Girl Guide cookies, because aren't they only, I don't know, with inflation, maybe like $4 a box or something like
They're
that. It's
$6.
not like you're gonna-
They're $6 a box. I only know this because I bought some boxes recently.
Online?
In person. No, I only
good.
deal with Girl Guide cookies in person because I don't want any counterfeit cookies. You know, I'm not going to order some Girl Guide cookies from, you know, somewhere overseas and then get Merle Guide cookies, you know, and be extremely disappointed. But
I get it.
these cookies are like crack, so I'm not surprised that there's a black market for Girl Guide cookies or, you know, whatever the situation is. These things are addictive, though. Have you had them?
Well, I don't like the thin mint ones, I'll tell you that much. I like, and then the regular cookies that are like kind of the cream centered ones. I only like the vanilla ones. I don't like the chocolate ones. So I'm not crazy about Girl Guide cookies because I don't really like chocolate.
Right. Well, you're a freak because these things are unbelievably delicious. And it's like they're so addictive because they're just the right size that they don't fill you at all. So you can just pound back one by one over and over and over again until you're 6 or 7 sleeves in and you're like, oh my God, my life is crumbling. What am I doing? Every decision I've ever made has been awful.
How many people do you need to trick to buy $6 boxes of cookies to make it worth your while doing the scam?
Well, I would imagine that there's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole room full of dozens and dozens of people all doing this at once for the same people.
Pretending to be Girl Guides.
Yeah. It's one organization that's like, okay, we're going to shift focus from calling the elderly for a bit, and we're going to all pretend to be Girl Guides on the internet for a little while. Because right now, Girl Guide cookies in Canada are just completely, you know, flying off the shelves. So, and people are looking for them, and they sell out of them. And then people are like, where can I get some Girl Guide cookies? And then you see these scammers popping up online, and they're like, I got cookies. You want cookies?
It's a bit that, but I also think there are people who just want to help. So when if you are going in some small town community Facebook group and saying like, yeah, my daughter, you know, is trying to sell enough to raise money for the Girl Guides, there are people in that group who just want to help their community, and they're like, you know, I'll help your daughter out, I'm sure. You know, I'll buy 2 boxes. Just I'll, you know, take one for the team kind of thing. So yeah, there's probably people who like you who are addicted to the cookies and need more of the cookies and can't find them for sale and are worried about the black market and everything else. And then there's probably little old like Anne from around the corner who just wants to help the kids in the community, and she's willing to buy them. And she's vulnerable as old hell and kind of like computer illiterate. So she's sending e-transfers all over the place. I'm ashamed to see the Girl Guides of Canada have to like take this on the chin and go public, because it is a bit of a black eye. Like to just associate that program, the Girl Guides cookies, with scams just kind of sucks. But I think the whole essence of the Girl Guide cookie sale, it was never intended, at least I don't believe it was ever intended to be this online marketing kind of thing. It was more either door-to-door sales in your neighborhood or like working out something with the grocery store where you're like by the cash register trying to get people to buy your cookies. Like, is that not what you would do?
Yeah, those are the things you could do for sure. But I'm sure there's ways. Okay. I'm sure there were people who were legitimately on Facebook or whatever, you know, hey, I'm selling Girl Guide cookies. You know, I'm your source. Come to me. I got lots of inventory. Bring it on. And then that's where the idea is. Scammers will see anybody doing anything and find a way to scam people doing it. So it's too bad, but society is collapsing. And this is just the next domino in the order of operations of complete Armageddon. So I think I think people are now getting so accustomed to scams that I don't think it's a black eye. I think it's just every company and every product and everything in the world now has a scammed version of it, an evil twin. And I think that That's just the norm now. And you just, even if somebody's handing you a sealed box of cookies, you never really know if the cookies are really going to be in there until you open them up and taste them. And then maybe they're poisoned. I don't know. I've given up. So I don't really care what happens to me or anyone that I know anymore at all.
Wow. And it's only going to get worse tonight. I told you we have multiple scam stories, and they are going to go further and further towards the bottom of the barrel socially. If imposter girl guides ripping people off on Facebook isn't bad enough, listen to this next story. Here's another scam. This one was shocking. This is another company. This is another institution speaking out about scams, and this one was absolutely shocking to me. The Gander, Newfoundland International Airport is alerting the public to what seems to be a serious increase in people who are using dating apps to scam people. So this is basically the airport speaking out about romance scams affecting people in Gander, Newfoundland. Listen to this one.
Airport staff at Gander International Airport recently discovered a woman who was disoriented and sitting alone in the terminal. When a manager approached her, she explained she was waiting for someone she had planned to marry, who was flying direct from Thailand. Garrett Watton knew right away the ticket was fraudulent, but he soon found out those situations are happening on a weekly basis.
So I was passing through the baggage hall. We seen a lady. She looked like she was disoriented. She was clearly looking for somebody, and I had asked if she needed some assistance. She showed me a picture of a ticket, and the ticket was clearly forged. So I brought her over to the airline counters, just to make sure. And the staff here at the airport are very familiar, they're very knowledgeable, and they explained to this person the reason why the ticket was forged. You know, clearly there's not a flight directly from Thailand to Gander International Canada. You know, so we were explaining this to the individual. I had asked a relationship to the passenger, and the lady said, "We're getting married." And they never met in person, but they've messaged back and forth online.
The RCMP in Gander say they've seen no direct increase locally in crimes of these types. But it's likely the victims are embarrassed and don't want to tell anyone.
Yeah, well, again, like one individual said they had it last week, another individual said it happened 2 weeks ago. So it's been common. And that's the ones that we're aware of. There's people coming here that realize they've been dubbed and are leaving, heartbroken or leaving upset and disappointed. But we're not aware of it. They just put their head down and leave. So I can't imagine how many people are actually falling for this scam.
Garrett Watton wants people to check in on their elderly family members who may be communicating with strangers online and to be aware of how vulnerable they may be.
They kind of bury the main part of that story, I think, other than just the idea of these heartbroken, vulnerable people just sitting around at the airport, kind of lost, waiting for their love connection that never comes. But what he said, the man speaking on behalf of the airport, was that he was involved in an incident last week, but other coworkers, he spoke to somebody who the week prior, he spoke to somebody else who 2 weeks prior had that same experience. The Gander Airport, that's a small airport. If once a week someone's showing up there thinking their romance scammer is flying in from Thailand or whatever, like that must be happening so often. And it's just crazy to picture that even happening. I'm shocked by this story.
So this is now going back to a similar theme in our Girl Guides cookie story. So we've got something that's beloved, like the feeling of love. You know, when you fall in love with someone, you meet someone and it's special and it's exciting and they're the only person that truly connects with you and understands you. And it's magical. It really is.
It is.
And then the scammers start scamming that feeling and they start recreating it with people on the internet and making them fall in love with them to get money out of them, to get whatever. And it's just that nothing is sacred anymore. We can't have nice things, right? Because
we can't get Girl Guide cookies. We can't fall in love.
Love is a scam.
Well, that part I may agree with. The Girl Guide cookies, I think that's if you do it correctly, I think you can get access to Girl Guide cookies that are legit and not scammy. but the whole falling in love online, especially with someone across the world that needs money to buy a plane ticket or to, I don't know, get out of trouble so they can come see you in Gander, Newfoundland on a direct flight from Thailand, which is hard not to laugh at that aspect of that story. But yeah, I don't know how you help these people with someone who's vulnerable and isolated and doesn't understand how awful the world works. How can they have their head buried so far in the sand that they don't realize the prevalence of romance scams and everything else? Like it's shocking to me that there's this many people that will fall for this stuff.
But when you're in a certain state of mind where, you know, the pain of loneliness has you in such a state where you're talking to somebody and you notice the red flags, but you ignore them because you want it to be true so badly, so that you're seeing the things come up, but you're just kind of like ignoring them or saying, no, it's probably fine. This person really gets me. And I don't know. It's just, it's not that they're stupid or anything like that. It's just they probably saw, you know, the issues like, oh, really? A direct flight to Gander from Thailand. Oh, well, I mean, I want this so badly. I'm going to ignore these potential issues that I'm seeing. And then here we are in a Gander Airport waiting for somebody who's not coming and getting swept up by a broom by maintenance and pushed out the front door. And
it's so sad that happens. Like the girl guy cookies thing, it surprises me, but at the same time, it doesn't surprise me. Any way to make money, there's someone who's going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And it's this just seems to be successful. Like we've talked about romance scams many times on Keep Canada Weird. So it's clearly something that pays off for the scammers.
This is what's so appealing to AI girlfriend and boyfriends and partners, you know, like I guess they are scamming you in a way, but I totally get why somebody wants to turn towards technology to provide them with companionship. It makes complete sense because there's no romance scams with that. It's just an AI bot that you talk to that you know, makes you feel like you're in love with them.
But I wonder how much AI bots are involved in these kinds of scams as well. Whether it's like these romance scams we just heard about with the Gander Airport, or even the Facebook profiles trying to sell girl guy cookies. I have a feeling if it isn't already, soon enough, all of that, or 95% of it, is all going to be powered by AI chatbots, which is going to make it that much harder for the vulnerable and the less computer savvy to realize what they're in for. And it's like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Blade Runner, but I've been thinking about that movie a lot. It's a sci-fi movie from I think it's from the early 80s, maybe the late 70s. And it's about this guy whose job is to hunt down these human-looking robots, like androids. They look exactly like a human, and the only way he can tell if they're an android or not is by kind of interviewing them and asking them really challenging questions that kind of play on emotion and stuff. And he's trying to get them to break and reveal themselves as an android as opposed to a human. I feel like that movie is about to be describing what we're dealing with, like when you're talking to someone online or even on the phone, because AI powered voices are so advanced now that you could be talking to someone on a phone that sounds human. Maybe they're even stuttering a little bit and clearing their throat, but it could just be AI that's programmed with those problems just to sound even more natural. Like I feel like we're about to enter a real world version of Blade Runner in so many aspects of our lives. But anyway, it's going to get hard.
Well, yeah, it's a whole other podcast that you and I will have to get into to discuss, the implications of artificial intelligence. And
yeah, we could do a weird news roundup, tire stories on a separate show,
Sure.
stairs stories on a separate show, and then kind of the ethical and societal implications of artificial intelligence. They'll be our
and I don't
forces.
think anybody's tuning in to hear us talk about those things. However, it did kind of come up naturally in conversation. So let's spend the next hour and a half talking about AI. Like 90% of the podcasts in the world right now.
That's a good point. We'll do that during the break. We have one.
We'll take a real long break.
We have one more scam story, but this one is so complicated that we'll save it for after the break.
Yeah.
When we get back, we're going to hear a scam story coming out of Winnipeg that is god awful. Handsome Aaron Airport. We heard how scammers are posing as girl guides. We heard how they were leaving broken-hearted, vulnerable people at the Gander Airport in Newfoundland. But let's hear about what they've done to this family in Winnipeg. A Winnipeg family says they've lost more than $200,000 after falling victim to two separate online scams. One posing as an investment company, and the next claiming to be a lawyer who could help recover losses of people who have fallen for scams. Listen to the story of the Winnipeg family that was scammed twice.
It destroyed everything. Destroyed our life.
It started about a year ago when Galina Bailey says she and her husband found an investment company on social media which they believed to be legitimate.
They were investing in Netflix, in Tesla, those companies. They were showing us how it's growing. We had our page there on the computer where we could see it, and nobody realized that it's just empty page.
Months later, she says their so-called financial advisor started threatening them, saying they owed thousands of dollars in credit and had to pay up or go to court.
That's a common thing that we see, scammers capitalizing on pressure tactics.
Tyler Ritchie, an investigator with the Manitoba Securities Commission, says in cases like this, you should always take a step back and get a second opinion, because once the money's gone, it's hard to get back.
Fiat currency gets converted into cryptocurrency and then gets moved from wallet to wallet across jurisdictions, and it becomes very difficult to trace.
With $50,000 lost, Galina says she turned to a UK-based lawyer she found on Facebook, who promised they could get her $500,000 in compensation. But she believes this too turned out to be a scam, as she was being asked daily for more and more money.
He offered me to sell my kidney to pay him.
With their savings drained, Galina says her family took out loans, lines of credit, and equity from their home to pay the lawyer, totaling $150,000.
It's something that we see way too often.
The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre says investment fraud has cost Canadians more than $1 billion since 2022. It warns everyone to be on the lookout for red flags. Galina doesn't believe she will ever get her money back, but she hopes this story can be a warning.
It can happen to you too, one day.
It's heartbreaking that can happen. One thing's for sure, like it's said in that clip several times, it's unlikely they're going to get their money back. Of course they're not going to get their money back. That money is so long gone, they will never get it back. 100%. I don't know where to start with this one. The bizarre cherry on top, the part that brings this to Keep Canada Weird, is that she then found a lawyer on Facebook that specializes in this. And somehow that turned out to be a scam as well.
Yeah, it's really shocking that, because I could see a scenario where, okay, we just scanned this woman with this insurance or investment scam or whatever it was. And so now we have her contact. So why don't we pretend to be a lawyer and reach out to her and offer her legal assistance in order to get her money back and then scam her again?
I wonder if it's the same people. If it is the same people, then that maybe isn't as surprising. They're just like going at this person hard. But if it's a completely different group with a completely different scam, their target market is people who fall for scams. And their scam is they will pretend to be lawyers who help people who've been scammed, knowing that they're dealing with people who will fall for
Well,
scams.
you don't see a regular legitimate lawyer advertising, oh, have you fallen for a scam recently? Well, I'm going to get you your money back. Like, you don't see that because
she lost $50,000 and she believed that this lawyer was going to help her get $500,000.
So this lawyer is probably, if it is a separate scam altogether, different people, she probably stumbled across this individual because they're advertising, hey, I can help you get your money back if you were scammed, which is a red flag because a regular lawyer would never advertise that, because they're not going after these scammers, because nobody is going after these scammers, because they're untraceable. They're in different countries. They're basically untouchable.
Yeah, and it's a part of the reason you see so many of these stories on the news is it's because they're put out there. The police encourage the people to speak out. The anti-fraud kind of groups try to put these stories front and center, because the only thing we have is prevention. We have no cure. You know that saying that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure? In this case, there is no cure. The only thing we have against these anonymous online scammers that blur international borders is prevention. And maybe this is the most important episode of Keep Canada Weird we've done yet, because I think what we've done is highlighted the many different ways, shapes, and forms scams flow across the internet. But we're not going to solve this issue tonight. But one issue we may be able to solve is issues surrounding coyotes, animal uprisings, attacks on dogs, and what to do if you're attacked by a coyote. We have an interesting story here. We'll end with a change of pace. Let's talk animals. In Port Coquitlam, BC, a man says that two extremely aggressive coyotes chased him and his dog all the way to his front door. I should also say there's a few stories that if they make it in the news, we will always talk about them. Anything related to a cat, if it's in the news, it will be featured on Keep Canada Weird. And anything related to an animal attack where people aren't physically hurt will make it to Keep Canada Weird. I think that's fair to say.
It's fair, yeah. You're a fair man.
Listen to the story of this coyote attack in British Columbia.
Let's go, girl. I felt like I just almost lost our dog. Good girl.
A routine dog walk Tuesday morning turned in a matter of seconds when Scott Towers and his dog came across two coyotes acting aggressively.
As soon as they made eye contact with both of us as we were standing just 10 feet behind here, they started running at us.
Security cameras recorded some of what happened next. When the Port Coquitlam resident first saw the coyotes approaching, he turned and ran towards home, the coyotes following close behind. The aggressive animals coming right up to Towers' door.
My instinct right away was to keep her close to my feet. Don't let her get out too wide, left or right, or front or back.
He immediately called the city and conservation officers. The response, to his mind, has been less than he expected.
They didn't contact me all day yesterday, and the city basically said we can't do anything. It's a conservation. It's their business.
While the city says it is aware of the incident and others like it in the area, recently coyotes were seen chasing a bear near the Walmart. There is no jurisdiction to deal with these types of complaints. Wildlife issues fall to the provincial government through the Conservation Officer Service. The provincial government, in a statement, says it will continue to monitor the situation. Wildlife experts say coyotes can be more aggressive this time of year, defending their territory.
If you see a coyote, you want to be loud and assertive. You want to make sure that they know you're there and then never run. You can back away slowly if they start to approach you.
Towers is urging everyone to stay vigilant out on the trails.
So we heard many cautionary tales tonight about what not to fall for online. This was a bit of a cautionary tale to not do what Scott Towers did. He saw the coyotes, and the first thing he did was just start running.
Yeah. The one thing they tell you not to do, is run, and that's the first thing. Yeah. And he even talked as if he knew what he was doing. He's like, I kept my dog, really close here. And he was talking in this very strategic way, but it's but you made, your first instinct was a mistake and you made that, but that you still talked about it as if you handled everything so smoothly. And then he just ran.
It is quite terrifying. He's booking it full speed with his little dog next to him. The two coyotes are at least 15 times faster than him and his dog are. So these coyotes are just tearing towards him. And multiple kind of home video cameras, like Ring doorbells and stuff, are catching him and his dog running. while two coyotes are tearing towards him. And then the final bit of video we have is his own camera. He runs in his door and slams the front door to his house just as the coyotes get to the door. Like, this was like fractions of a second away from not being able to be talked about on Keep Canada Weird. Like, this could have gone bad.
Yeah, no, it really could have. He's lucky. He's lucky that because we're talking about a fraction of a second in the difference of him shutting the door or him being eaten alive on his front step for his neighbors to watch on their Ring doorbells. What happened? I saw my Ring doorbell kept dinging my phone all night. What's going on here? And then they just turn it on. And it's their neighbor being eaten alive by coyotes.
Oh God. It's scary things, but if you run, like, I'm a dog owner. I have a beautiful dog named Penny. I think she's just about to turn 9 months. She's the love of my life. I know if I jump up and start running, her instinct is just to chase me. And I bet you coyotes are the same way. If you run, they're just like, oh,
yeah,
chase is on.
You become
prey
to them. So once you run, then you're simulating prey. And then they're like, all right, this is something I can eat, and I'm going after it. It's scared of me. I can take it down. And there's two coyotes, so they're feeling confident. So yeah, listen to the experts. Stand your ground. Act big. Act loud. Don't run. Back away very slowly. Yeah. That's the way to handle it.
That does sound easier said than done, though. If I'm out and there's just these two huge coyotes looking towards me, a part of me is going to be like, I should run. But at the same time, I know, like, I can't outrun a coyote. I'm probably better off to just stand and fight them. Like, I probably would have a better chance of winning a fight against a coyote than a race.
Yeah, a fight for sure. You know, if you can get to the eyes, I don't know, whatever you can do. But I carry a stick when I go on my walks, so.
Yeah, so you think you just bash their heads in?
Well, that's what they say. You know, if you're going, like, we don't have an issue with coyotes coming into urban areas so much where I am as they are in this area from this story. Yeah. So, but when I go on,
I just have to say, we forgot to mention in the story, they did mention that there was like coyotes attacking a bear at a Walmart, but they didn't elaborate. They're just like, recent video of coyotes attacking a bear. I'd be curious about
they talked about the bear just like it was a victim, just like this guy. Yeah. And they were like, and there was also a bear at the Walmart who got attacked by coyotes as well. Let's go to the bear for some comments. Be like, I didn't run because I'm a bear.
Anyway, you go for walks. You bring a club.
I bring my walking stick, which is a good swinging stick. So if God forbid, it's never happened, but if I ever am in front of a coyote who wants to throw down, at least I've got a weapon with me.
Okay. You could also bring like a pocket full of dog snacks, like dog treats, because I wonder if you just like threw those towards the coyote. They just like, hey.
No.
It's not like that?
It's a terrible idea.
Okay.
It's a terrible. You're feeding a wild animal then. And then as soon as it quickly eats up those treats, it's coming after you.
Yeah, and it's like...
Because now you're a food source.
Well, yeah, you have no more treats. Your pockets smell like bacon now.
Yeah. And they have a clear scent to follow, too, of just like, the smell of ground beef just coming from your pocket.
Yeah, I guess we'll go with the experts and stand our ground. Hopefully we're never in the position where we need to defend ourselves against coyotes. We will likely be in the position where we have a video doorbell to consider, or we have an online scam to ignore and move on from. So I think no matter where you are in the world listening, you probably learned something from this episode of Keep Canada Weird. Is this our most important episode yet, Aaron?
I would say it's of great importance, but I don't think it's the most important.
Okay. Do you think specifically Stairs, the bonus episode we released last week, covering specifically listener-contributed Stairs stories, was our most important episode?
Yeah, it's tied with Entirely Tires, I'd say.
Okay. At the beginning of this episode tonight, you pitched the idea of recording something special this weekend. Do you think we should open the mailbag next, or should we go for round 2 of specifically Stairs?
I'd like to do a mailbag because we did specifically Stairs.
Okay.
or recently. So we haven't done a mailbag in a while. So let's open up the hornet's nest and let them fly wild.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But I'm excited for what comes next. This country never fails to provide us with stories that make us think, make us laugh, make us chuckle, and always keeps us on our toes. Handsome Aaron Airport, I think we've got our work done tonight. You happy with this?
I am happy with everything we did tonight, and I'm always happy spending time with you.
Handsome Aaron Airport, until next time.
Jordan, bus stop, backhoe, Bonaparte, until next time.
If I get the Girl Guide cookies, if they show up at my door and I know they're cool, and they're not giving me any weird vibes, and I'm sure it's actual legitimate Girl Guides, I will buy the cookies just to support them. I'll eat the vanilla, the chocolate. I promise you, I will save for next time you come to visit me.
That's great. I don't really need your offer, though, because, Jordan, until next time, I actually have a lead on some Girl Guide cookies. I just spoke to a Girl Guide online here on the internet, and I'm going to meet her at the airport, and she's going to give me the cookies.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. Now, if any one of you listening want to get more involved in what we're doing, we need all the correspondence we can get. So if something weird happens in your area, or if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed tonight, let us know about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at thecanadiangothic.com/contact. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we part, let us thank a few people. First of all, Aaron and I want to give a big thank you to all the correspondents who contributed to this episode. If your voice message was aired on the show, go back to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and fill out the form to claim your swag pack and Keep Canada Weird badge. We'll happily get it right out to you. Next, a big shout out to Unicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, we have a massive thank you to every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this work would be impossible. And for any one of you out there who want to support the show financially and get more out of the show at the same time, please consider the premium feed. Our premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of Keep Canada Weird episodes and bonuses. You can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if the premium feed isn't for you, you can still support the show by simply sharing episodes on social media. That's free, and it's a big help. So until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and please keep Canada weird.
And keep Canada weird. Please keep Canada weird.